All right, we are talking real estate and finding ourselves. Once again, it is Discover South Florida Live, coming to you live. That's why we say live. From the Podcast Junkie Studios in downtown Boca Raton. Larry Masperry, broker, owner of the Masperry Group, alongside myself, John Laws of Discover South Florida. And we have Ben Castro, the man behind the camera, behind the monitor. He's kind of just behind everybody. It creeps me out a little bit, but we just roll with it. And once again, we're going to talk about some interesting wheelings and dealings that are happening throughout South Florida and not quite beyond, but, I just like saying beyond. So I know what we will begin with tonight is something that I believe we had touched on recently. I don't know. The voices in my head mentioned it, but I could have sworn we talked about this, Larry. If you haven't heard, we have Wells Fargo, which becomes the first major U.S. bank to move its wealth management headquarters down here to South Florida. Now, they signed a 50,000 square foot lease at One Flagler in downtown West Palm Beach for its wealth and investment management headquarters. Fitting, considering that they're trying to turn this into Wall Street South. It all makes sense. If you were wondering about some of the numbers behind Wells Fargo's wealth and investment management division, it's pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah,
$16 billion.
Yeah, that's it. I
revenue.
mean, right. Just last year alone, roughly a fifth of the entire bank. About 100 employees, mostly senior wealth executives, will relocate by the end of 2026 with the office opening in August. So I'm picturing all these families. Oh, they're crying. The kids don't want to leave their friends, everything else. We got to come down to beautiful South Florida. Oh, make it stop. No, you don't hear that with us. You don't hear that with this part of the country. We save that for like Chicago or, California. Nobody wants to go there. Actually, I don't. I'm just saying that. Anyway, all right. So, Larry, let's break down why Wells Fargo chose West Palm Beach.
Well, first off, I think we've heard rumors for a while that the CEO he relocated here, right? I think that's a thing, or the president, right?
Wells Fargo, the boss.
Let's see. Wells Fargo's wealth management CEO Barry Summers relocated from New York to Florida himself, and he's bringing his senior leadership team with him. So, this is a interesting move. I mean, first off, it's a big deal. It's a big signal for West Palm, and it's a big deal for our buddy Stephen Ross here, who
of course
has been stacking his office buildings with real Fortune 100 companies. Right. This is yet another one, which is big. And it's not just, as you mentioned, it's not just this like back office move where we've seen in the past where it's like, oh, this big company's coming here and it's just like this like subsidiary or some version of it, right? This is Wells Fargo's wealth division, which on some level makes sense and it kind of fits the bill. There's now 67 billionaires that own homes in Palm Beach. That's up from 43 in 2020.
Wow.
I mean, 67 billionaires in anywhere is a big freaking deal, right? So anyway, they're trying to move closer in their strategy, or in their opinion, the strategy is move closer to where the money is, and there's plenty of money in West Palm.
And what I wonder is how much of an influence Stephen Ross is with some of these moves. Like, was Barry Summers already coming down here with everybody? Or, was Stephen Ross up in New York talking to these guys, being like, hey, there's this place down here. We're building up West Palm Beach. We're doing it right. You guys need to get in on this. I would love to be a fly on the wall and hear some of these conversations to have a better understanding of just how this is all coming together. And maybe we'll hear the whole story at some point.
I can envision, or I can imagine that like a whole bunch of CEOs are hanging out and Stephen Ross was with them, and then maybe he walked away and they're all like, God, this guy, all he talks about is West Palm Beach. He's always trying to get you to come down to West Palm Beach. And then
he's doing keg stands and talking about West Palm Beach. It's all he does at parties.
He's like, did you hear Barry, I think, just agreed to go to West Palm with him? What is going on down there, right? Some version of that. I can see that. I'm pretty sure he's politicking hard amongst the CEO and billionaire friends to bring people down here. But he's not the only one doing this, right? Ken Griffin also joined in a partnership with Stephen Ross recently to I guess promote relocating to South Florida. And Ken Griffin's territory or stomping ground is really Miami area, right? That's where he moved his headquarters, and Stephen Ross is kind of all over South Florida, but specifically West Palm Beach.
It's fascinating to me because when we look at this timeline of companies that have slowly worked their way down here, you would imagine if this was, any scenario, if you didn't necessarily have the exact dates, you would assume this kind of prosperity that's building up would take at least 30 years, something like that. And we are watching it accelerate to a point that it's like in under a decade.
Yeah.
Like that's the part that really, the compression of time to make this all come together. It's like, man,
Well, also what's interesting is they've expressed a plan, Wells Fargo being they've expressed a plan to expand substantially, add new financial advisors. They're saying private bankers they're adding, independent broker-dealers. So just really pushing the envelope here. This is not just a move for retirement or just park everybody down here. It's, hey, we're going to come down here and we're going to dominate, right? And so that's kind of interesting. This has now become the place where you come to expand, not just retire.
And I was just, when you said that, I was immediately thinking of an old episode of Seinfeld, like when Kramer was looking like he was going to move down to Boca de Vista or whatever.
That's right.
and Jerry says to him, he's like, Kramer, people don't come here to live, they come here to die. It's like, well, no, that's not the case anymore. People are coming down here to live.
Yeah, it's changed so much, right? In the 20 years I've been here, it's a very different place. The other thing that I found interesting is them or Wells Fargo moving their their private wealth division here basically topped off One Flagler, now at 100% leased.
Wow.
Right? Which is just like crazy for Stephen Ross's building to be like, okay, we had GTCR, Bessemer Trust, Paulson Capital, Barron Funds, Golden Tree, and then you keep adding more big financial institutions. Wall Street South is becoming a real thing, right?
Right.
So.
It's again because all these people have money, right? What would be the selling point for Ross to get all these people to come in? It's like, what can he offer you that you don't already have? I mean, that's the part that gets me.
Well, these are like Class A office buildings, right?
Well, there's Class A office buildings everywhere. You know what made West Palm Beach be the deciding factor? Like, you know what? We're going to do this. Let's do this.
This is what I'm saying. I think
what is it, Larry? Tell me.
I think the CEOs are hanging out and they're like, all right, who's going to go first? Just shut them up. Just who are we going to sacrifice? We're going to send Wells Fargo down there. We can send them down there. Barry's going. Oh. It's all good.
It's like, oh, Barry's going. All right, well, Barry's going. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's starting to be more realistic for these companies to relocate here, right? There's possibly tax incentives.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's got to be something like that.
People want to be here because of the weather. If you're thinking New York versus South Florida, there's some advantage there. I understand the value of New York and the city and all these things and why people do want to be there, but there's a lot of people who also want to be here, and so this is becoming more of a no-brainer. And as more and more companies move, to your point, it starts to snowball, and then it becomes this absolute no-brainer because everybody's there already, and it's awesome. Why aren't we here, right? And we talked about here, there's more to come when it comes to Class A office space. They may have just topped that one off, but he's building, he being related Ross, they're breaking ground on 10 and 15 City Place, adding nearly 1 million more square feet of office in downtown. So he clearly feels like there is a need for more of this, which is bananas.
Which is right. It's so interesting to me because I can remember 5-6 years ago coming out of the pandemic, and everyone's talking. It's like, are we ever going to need brick and mortar again? You know, everybody's working from home. They can do everything from home. What do they need here? Well, somebody is kind of going against that
totally.
trend. Yeah.
And
so
what
it's like, no, I guess it's okay. I guess we're all right.
And the trend here, what it seems is there's office buildings and then there's Class A office buildings. And in order to bring in Class A talent and or Class A businesses, you need that Class A office space.
Okay, if I knew nothing about that, and you're trying to explain to somebody, it's like, okay, what the hell's a Class A office space? What makes a Class A so much better than anything else?
High ceilings, lots of light, windows, you know what I mean, good infrastructure, properly modern space planning, like all that comes with these buildings that you can't always get when you're buying an office building that's built in the 90s or some version of that, right? And by the way, some of these big companies that he's trying to pull away from New York, they're used to being in these types of office buildings in some cases, right? That's a big thing in New York. It says it here too. It says one flagler is reportedly leasing at up to $140 per square foot, among the highest in the state. And we talk about this in a minute, but Fort Lauderdale's Class A space, there's one projection we'll talk about a little later on another topic, but it's like $60 per square foot.
Oh, wow.
So these are like huge numbers that he's pulling for his Wall Street South, space here. So which is just wild.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's another comment, I don't know if it's on this one or another topic, but we're seeing South Florida or Fort Lauderdale office vacancy at like 14%. So there's a fair amount of vacancy in some of this stuff. And yet Ross is pulling in big players and getting 100% occupancies in these
That's what I'm saying. It's like, does every cubicle come with a masseuse? Like, what's the deal here? That is unbelievable.
This is another stat here. Over 140 companies have relocated or expanded into Palm Beach County in the past 5 years, creating more than 13,000 direct jobs and over $1 billion in capital investment, according to the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County, BDP.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow. Which is super interesting. So this is just yet another move. I think this is a noteworthy topic or a noteworthy company to discuss or call out that, hey, they're relocating the area. This is a big one. On that note, let's talk about, and this is the one I was referencing earlier, let's talk about the Australian developer who's making a bet on Las Olas with boutique office and retail projects. This is kind of interesting. This is in a location. If we pull it up on the map, we can share where it's at. If you know Las Olas and you know the downtown Fort Lauderdale area, these office buildings are kind of, I don't know, these little retail spaces that they're planning on demolishing are kind of old and junky, and so this could be a pretty cool project. I mean, that's huge if you actually know where that is. If we jump to the Google Maps, we can show them like, hey, this is where it is in the street. But the hook here is an Australian developer is planning to tear down a row of 1958 storefronts on Las Olas Boulevard and replace them with a 6-story office and retail building. And so you can see where this is. If you zoom out a little bit, you can kind of see like this is right before you cross over into the beach area, and it's like it's on your way from like downtown to the beach. And so if you want to do a street view of like of those office buildings, or not office buildings, those storefronts, you can kind of see it's like Primo's there. All right, so it's like not bad, but it's but there's some over there that are really shoddy.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were that old, but
so like it's not a bad little area. It's kind of cool. But what they're planning to replace it with should be pretty epic. So this is Coombs Property Group, a privately held Australian firm based in Bondi Junction. They've submitted plans to build a 6-story mixed-use building at 811 East Las Olas Boulevard here in Fort Lauderdale. The project would replace the 3 low-rise commercial buildings from the 1960s and roughly 16,000 square feet of retail on the bottom 2 floors and 27,000 square feet of office on the top 4. So this could be a cool little addition. This is kind of a boutique building. It'll be fun, interesting to like, if you're a little business and you need office space, this could be a cool little spot to have your office, right? And it still preserves the retail on the front floor or on the bottom floor there, which is kind of cool. And they're really pushing the envelope here. They're planning to bring in real architects. This project was designed by Morris Ajmi Architects of New York, in collaboration with the Miami-based Cube 3, which we've heard from over and over again in some of these other projects. Fort Lauderdale's Development Review Committee has already begun reviewing the plan, so this is in and for review. And if it's approved, it would be one of the few new boutique office buildings to rise directly onto Las Olas corridor, right? Which is kind of interesting. One of the things that's interesting about this project is no parking spaces.
Oh, well, I mean, at least, and that's always my thought with a lot of these, and I think it screams to the fact that, we're getting older and slowly turning into our parents, as the progressive ads will show you. But I'm like, I get excited when I see, they're gonna add parking. They're gonna add off-site parking, which it's like, because I've been to Las Olas many times, and I always have trouble parking unless it's like in the garage.
So this is they're planning on using already existing off-site spaces from the city's public parking inventory.
Oh,
so they're not really adding parking.
I misread that. I thought they were adding on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, have fun with that.
And so here's the deal, though, because they're skipping the garage. The developer avoids this like massive construction cost and keeps the footprint tight on a 1/4-acre site. So they don't really have space to do it, and ideally it'll make this project actually financially feasible, which is the big thing here, right? And this is a big part of like most of what's going on. I was going to mention this earlier. The developer described their design as tropical modern architecture that feels timeless and rooted in the location. So these Aussies, they're like, let's call it tropical modern. That sounds cool. That sounds like
what I've made.
Yeah, right. They're just like these guys will buy that.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we've been doing it for a while now. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So this is cool though. Boutique building downtown, kind of on your way to the beach. We'll have probably some good restaurants, some good boutique shopping at the first floor. I think it's a good little ad. These are some of the stats that I wanted to mention here, right? So, the fact that you're getting like these boutique projects that might actually go through is kind of a signal. Usually like the big guys can come in and play because, well, they can with their scale, they can reduce costs and make projects happen. But if you can do this on a boutique level, it kind of signals that the market's pretty healthy, pretty strong, and they're able to turn a profit by building these things, right? So it's kind of interesting. And Fort Lauderdale right now has over 8,700 apartment units under construction, with 80% targeting the luxury segment. All those new residents need places to eat, shop, and work, and that's driving demand for retail. As we mentioned earlier, or when we talk about Fort Lauderdale or Broward, it's just an economic powerhouse,
right? That just kind of flies under the radar.
Yeah.
That the Golden Triangle, I believe we called it a few weeks ago, or everybody else calls it.
The port of Fort Lauderdale,
right.
Downtown Fort Lauderdale, and Fort Lauderdale International Airport. That like triangle there is like a monster of GDP, right?
Yeah.
It's huge. It's the density in Broward is wild. The industry in Broward is wild. It's kind of it's a sleeper. It's a sleeper county. It's a sleeper city for sure. And so that's they're adding apartments, and they're still they still need more apartments, right? So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess as we continue to move on here, let's talk about something happening back in Boca Raton. Oh, boy, an invitation-only private club. So an 8-story invitation-only private club is being planned for downtown Boca Raton, complete with a rooftop pool, speakeasy, supper club, and hotel-style guest rooms. Okay. The Sanborn has proposed 44,000 square foot private members club at 100 Northeast First Ave in downtown Boca. That's pretty close to us right now. Just steps from Sanborn Square. Oh, go figure, Sanborn. So the project is led by general partners Stephen Newman and developer Scott Kerner, with backing from investors in Manhattan and Boca Raton. Designed by Boca Raton-based HDA architects, it's an 8-story building that would replace an existing office residential structure on a 0.31-acre site. It's currently in site plan review with the city, and if approved this summer, could be completed as soon as April of 2028. Now, the Sanborn is the latest example of a broader trend reshaping the South Florida luxury landscape. You have these purpose-built private clubs designed for a new generation of wealthy residents. Okay, Larry, what do you think?
Let's throw on the screen the location up top here, and we can kind of talk a little bit about this area, right? So we're actually shooting the pod just south of here right now, and in the future, one day we'll be finishing this up, and then we'll be walking over to the private club that we'll be members at. So you can kind of see this. There's a number of development projects proposed for this sector. So this is yet another project in that area. This one just popped up on our radar. So what do we have? We have, John, what's the one to the south that I'm forgetting? This is a Sanborn Square or Aledo.
Yes, the Aledo.
The Aledo, right, just to the south. That whole area to the south, north of Palmetto Park Road, going to be redeveloped. And then we have this project we're talking about right now, which you could see on right there. And then where it's hard to see on this map, kind of. It's where the post office is, which is on the corner. The northeast corner of that little sector right there, right above it. Yep, on the north side right there. So that's all planning to get there. The plans are in. This is a thing. It's on its way to be redeveloped too, that whole strip. So this is the connector from Meisner Park to Royal Palm Plaza. Royal Palm. Yeah. Right. So where we are right now. So this is I think it's really good for downtown. I think this is really cool. It's going to be way more action, way more stuff, way more synergies between Meisner and where we are right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, because what you can't see from a top-down view is that Tower 155, you know, that huge white building right there, and so many other things. Yeah, it's like, you know, you kind of have to. You got to bring up the whole area. You can't just, pick one and just like never do anything around it.
So it's all coming together in that little area. And so I would just, if you're a buyer and investor in this area, there's a lot more growth to be had in this downtown Boca market. There's a number of proposed projects. This is just 3 that we mentioned, and they're all going to happen. It's just a matter of time. For example, the one Aledo Square is they've broken ground now, which is exciting. We've been watching. Well,
they cleared it. I was going to say, it's been like 2 years.
Now they got a whole bunch of cranes there, and they're digging and doing all the things they do to break ground. So that typically means they've got the money, they got financing, and they're off to the races. So hopefully that project moves along very soon and quickly. And then you'll have this coming behind it. But let's get back to this. So besides just like this, what this means for the area, this is kind of neat. It's kind of interesting. So the Boca Raton Club, which is also on the map just south of and just east of where we are right now, but just south of that project, that the Boca Raton Club is a private club. You pay to get into it, right? And the membership buy-in is about $100,000, somewhere around there, and the monthly membership fee is somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500, right? And so, and they have huge demand. The demand is crazy. Now that club is awesome. There's 7 restaurants.
See, I haven't been in there.
It's a very different thing than what we're describing here, but. There's plenty of demand for this type of product, believe it or not. And so I'm curious to see the price point they're going to put on the membership equity buy-in, right? The cost associated to carry that membership.
And I'm thinking, well, I mean, for an HOA and buying into one of these country clubs, just to live there, I'm like, that's actually pretty reasonable compared to some of those prices.
100%. So the Boca Raton Club being $100,000 membership equity buy-in, compared to some of these membership equity clubs, I mean, they're $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. I mean, there's some in South Florida that are even more.
$500,000. Yeah, I was like, I saw an article. Yeah, it was like $500,000, and I'm just staring at it, going, why? Just to get in, and you're never getting it back. I mean, that's
never. They call it a membership equity buy-in, but it's not actually equity. You don't get your equity back when you sell. Like it used to be that. It used to be that.
I would have loved to have sat in on the meeting when they came up with that term.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, yeah, it sounds great. Well, Johnson, you get a promotion.
Well, it used to be that. And then there was everybody systematically started to be like, well, we don't want to pay this back when they leave.
Right.
No, let's not do that. Let's all vote that no one ever gets their money back. So that's the meeting I want to be in on.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, that's got to be crazy. So anyway, they changed that to the Boca Raton Club. They changed that many other places here, but 44,000 square foot private members only club. That's a pretty solid amount of square feet.
Much bigger than the Paramount one that they were talking about in Palm Beach last week.
That's right. So this is following a greater trend. It's kind of funny that this just popped up on our radar after we were talking about the other private club. And there's others throughout South Florida that exist that are similar to this concept, which isn't like this big resort like the Boca Raton Club is.
Yeah.
Right. This is a very niche product, probably limited by a certain amount of members that can be a part of it. And I'm guessing it's not going to be cheap. It's an 8-story building, right? And they're talking about delivering this in April of 2028.
Yeah. Everybody's so optimistic, though, when it comes to these proposals and buildings. It cracks me up.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Some of these guys actually hit their target, but there's many others that don't, right?
I was going to say, maybe the Mandarin just kind of shook my faith in all construction project timelines.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. What else are they talking about here? So they talk about here, like, hey, there's others, like we were talking about, like Shell Bay Club in Hollandale Beach, launched with a $1 million initiation fee that's already climbed to $1.35 million. That's a huge number. It's insane. It's insane. It's like wild. So, and Stephen Ross just announced plans for a private club on the Intercoastal in West Palm Beach. Since 2021, this is what we were just referencing, initiation fees across South Florida's luxury clubs have jumped 80 to 90%. Pre-pandemic, it was common to see a sub $100,000 initiation fee. You notice how they're calling them initiation fees now, not membership equity. So sub $100,000 was like a thing. It was okay. You could see that. Now, I don't think I know of a single club that is in that territory, right? It's just like not even remotely a thing. It's interesting. I know these don't exist in other parts of the country, but welcome to the crazy wealth of South Florida, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And I'm sure, companies like Wells Fargo with a wealth and investment management division sees things like that. We're like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should relocate there.
Right.
So suddenly I feel like my questions have been answered.
Well, on that note, let's talk about another development project. Stiles is the developer, and they could redevelop part of Broward's shopping center. And this won't be the first attempt at this. There have been others before Stiles. Hopefully this project will get done. This is a little bit less ambitious than the previous ones. And so the hook here is one of the most recognizable shopping centers on Wilton Drive could be partially demolished to make way for 82 new apartments, which compared to some of the projects we've been talking about seems underwhelming, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, so Fort Lauderdale-based Stiles Corp., one of South Florida's most established development firms, is proposing a partial redevelopment. So it's a partial redevelopment of the shops at Wilton Manors on a 5.4-acre retail center at 2200 and 2292 Wilton Drive. The plan calls for demolishing a vacant big box building at the rear of the property and replacing it with 2 5-story residential buildings totaling 82 apartments, along with roughly 14,700 square feet of new retail and nearly 3,900 square feet of outdoor dining space. Again, this is a partial redevelopment, so they're retaining a fair amount of the retail and just building these 82 apartments on a separate parcel, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting. They acquired this shopping center for $27.63 million recently in 2024. I believe they bought it from Terra and Frisbee, maybe. Oh. Yeah, I think that's what was happening here. This, as I mentioned, it's not the first time you and I have talked about this.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it's we've seen this. We've seen the attempt at this project in the past.
which maybe is that part of the reason why they're kind of scaling it down a little bit to try to make a little more sense financially.
Yeah, that's probably, or maybe to get it approved through the city, right? Mm-hmm. As we know, as we've seen here at Boca as an example, we went from 32-acre development site to 8 acres just to get the thing done. And it seems like Terra has unfortunately experienced this in other locations. I'm sure this is nothing new. This is part of their game.
So we saved Boca. Boca's been saved. I have, admittedly, I have not kept up with it as well as I should have.
Well, I continue to get emails.
Oh, do you?
About saving Boca. So I don't know if Boca's has been saved entirely yet. At least the Save Boca crew may not think so.
Okay.
So we'll
I still see the signs, right? But that I feel like we could be seeing those signs for the next 10 years. Like they'll just they're still there.
Yeah, it's really funny to see the two emails. The city sends or Save Boca sends out an email, and it's just bashing people left and right.
Right.
Maybe rightfully, maybe true, maybe not. Who knows? And then you see the city's email come out maybe days later, and it's just justifying their positions in a very formal, professional way. So it's kind of funny. Back to Fort Lauderdale here. So total commercial space on the property would be reduced to around 52,000 square feet, and the site would have 296 parking spaces with 100 dedicated to new residential. So they're adding more space. Mm-hmm. According to the developer's traffic studies, the redevelopment property would actually generate fewer vehicle trips.
Oh, wow.
Right? Than the existing shopping center, because apartments draw less traffic than the retail space they'd be replacing.
Makes sense.
So why this site has been on the developer's radar for years, right? This is what we were talking about. This is the third chapter for this property in terms of development ambitions. Previous owners, Grass River Property and Terra.
You said Terra,
There we go. Won city approval in 2024 for a much larger project called Wilma on the Drive, a 6-story, 252 unit apartment building with 24,000 square feet of commercial space. Construction just never started. So Stiles then acquired it, as we talked about, in December of 2024, so a year and a half ago, and initially signaled they would just renovate the existing retail. Now, less than 2 months later, they're back with this new proposal. So maybe they had this planned all along. Who knows? Yeah. The pivot here tells you two things, right? Stiles sees residential demand on this corridor, and they're betting that smaller, more targeted project has a better shot of getting built, which is what we were just talking about, right? So it's interesting. This location is, again, in South Florida here, in this dense location. We could throw it on the screen if we want. There, you can there's just more residential is positive, right? There's an overwhelming demand for this stuff, and more residential will help improve just overall housing prices.
Right.
So this is good. I think as much as people don't want to see increased density in certain areas, or some people don't want to see that, on the other hand, it will make the area more affordable, right? More affordable from a housing perspective. Not to say that 82 units is going to change the game.
No, but every little bit, as they continue with some of these redevelopments, not to mention, it's nice seeing not every single one of them is, it's going to be 85% luxury or something. It's okay, so basically people aren't going to live there. They'll own them. It makes sense.
And this also helps the businesses that exist in that retail right now. So what we've seen happen is we have this big retail place, and maybe it's seeing less demand than it saw 20, 30 years ago when you didn't have Amazon or something, right? And so if you add a ton of residential apartments or whatever next to it, well, now all of a sudden you just added a whole bunch of people that can walk to this thing and shop and utilize the retail establishments that are there, thus supporting those businesses. And so this is
cutting down on traffic.
And cutting down on traffic. There you go. This is net positive. Net positive in an area that really, again, could use it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Palm Beach because, we don't talk about them enough. Here is an estate that is linked to Fox News' Sean Hannity. He listed it reportedly at $44.9 million. Oh, this is Manalapan. I've seen a few images of this one. It's a nice place. A trust linked to Fox News host Sean Hannity just listed a Manalapan waterfront estate, as mentioned, just under $45 million. That is roughly double what he paid for it a year ago, and now he's going double. This is one of those ocean to intracoastal estates, as mentioned, 1840 South Ocean Boulevard. It hit the market near the end of December, right before Christmas, December 23rd, fully furnished. Now, the 8-bedroom Mediterranean-style compound sits on about 2 acres with 150 feet of frontage on both the Atlantic and the intracoastal, which makes it one of the fewer than 60 properties in town offering that kind of dual waterfront access. So, Mr. Hannity's still doing pretty well for himself, and certainly with his real estate investments. This was a trust linked to Hannity's longtime financial advisor who purchased the property for $25.95 million. That was, just in November of 2024. So Hannity is separately building out a combined oceanfront residence in nearby Palm Beach from 2 townhomes he bought for a total of $20.5 million. Now, the Manalapan listing, which is held by Vince Badea of Douglas Elliman, signals that even at the mid-tier of Manalapan's market, sellers are pricing for explosive appreciation. Now, is he going to get that for it? I don't know, but obviously he is not short on optimism when it comes to trying to sell that in a very short amount of time for a whole lot of money. I mean, man, that's crazy. Double in under a year.
It's kind of wild. Like it says here, even accounting for furnishings, because they're saying furniture's included, and whatever improvements may have been made, that kind of markup would have been unthinkable in most markets, right?
Yeah.
Just tack on another $20 million. It's not like he rebuilt the place. He may have done a lot of work in there, but $20 million, okay. Here's the thing: what we've seen and what this property has to offer is very unique. We were just up there showing a client a handful of homes on that marketplace, and the prices on Palm Beach Island, Manalapan, they're just wild. It's just unbelievable what the difference is between that and less than like a half mile across the water, right? Across the intercoastal.
Right.
I mean, you could buy a $400,000 house
on the other side of the intercoastal,
on the
right
other
there.
side of the intercoastal, right there. So it's a very interesting area. It's a very interesting area. But again, there's some reasons for this, right? Because like what you mentioned earlier, there's park the big yacht on the intercoastal side, wake up to the ocean, right? And then walk across A1A or go through your tunnel. Usually there's a tunnel beneath A1A for some of these properties. Go through your tunnel and then end up at your yacht. And by the way, there's usually property on the other side of the A1A for the people who are managing the yacht. So those people can stay at that property.
That's how it works.
Your staff can stay over there, and then they can go under the tunnel and then go service the house, or stay on that side and service the yacht. And
how does the tunnel thing work? Do you have to get approved to get that on your property?
All this stuff already exists, so it's already there.
Okay.
So it's not like they're doing new engineering stuff. So I don't know if Hannity's place has it. My guess is it probably does, but that's a common thing over there, right? Mm-hmm. Which is interesting. So it's a very unique real estate, and it's also a signal. If you own something like this, you're kind of in the club, right?
I don't know what the club is, but he's in it. He is in.
He's in it. Yeah. The previous seller, a Florida LLC tied to hedge fund figure Randall Smith and his wife, real estate investor Barbara Stovall Smith, had already made upgrades before the 2024 sale, including new floors, renovated bathrooms, a refurbished pool, impact-resistant windows, and a new seawall. It's unclear what additional work, if any, has been done since then. The property was briefly listed as a luxury rental. Oh, I saw this because we were looking at something for a client for $130,000 per month before being repositioned for sale. Hannity, who is a prolific real estate investor tied to a portfolio of more than 870 properties across 7 states, appears to be treating this as an investment play rather than a primary residence, which is kind of interesting.
I didn't think he was actually living there.
Yeah, he was, as you were saying, his primary home is in Palm Beach, as we discussed, where he's merging 2 adjacent oceanfront townhomes at the residence of Sloan's Curve into a single residence about 3 miles south of Mar-a-Lago. It's kind of interesting because I'm not sure if those merged townhomes are better than this property, because this property is pretty epic.
Well, I mean, but it's one of those, I don't know what his family situation is.
Or what he's doing,
If you're a single guy living alone, like, do you really want something that big?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, check this out. I get lost in my own estate. It's crazy. You got to see how big it's like, you know what I mean? It's like one of those, it's professional athletes that when they sign the big contract, they got all that money, you know, and they go broke within a couple of years because they're probably bored and lonely. So all their best friends and their, you know, second and third cousins coming out of the woodwork, they're the ones who spend their money, I'm telling you. So it's like, I wouldn't want to live in a massive place like that either. I really wouldn't, I swear.
No, there's a certain limit to, like, well, have you ever, this is a crazy thing to say, but
what?
Have you ever heard 50 Cent comment on the Tyson mansion that he bought?
No.
He's like, if you get to the point where you look down the hallway and you're like, and it's so big and so vast, and you're like, I don't really want to go down there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what he said on camera.
Yeah.
He's like, I had to get rid of that thing. You know what I mean? He's just
And now he lives in Delray, doesn't he?
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is just yet one of many billionaire / very, very wealthy individuals that are buying here. I mean, this is the billionaire territory where you play. So we'll see if he can get this number. This feels like a big jump. But maybe there's some support for that valuation. We will see.
Yeah, but again, it's funny that the whole real estate investing game is. I've continued to learn, you know, through you basically, and how a lot of this stuff works. It just seems like, wow, there is so much to be made, but that bar of entry is so incredibly high. You know, it's like, oh, good. Well, I got 20 million laying around. I can double my money in a year.
Yeah.
Geez, it's just
maybe he got a good deal on it. I don't know about that, but you know, so like we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Let's move on to our buddy Jeff Greene, another billionaire, who just agreed to a $5 million penalty. Like it's nothing.
Yeah, right.
If his twin towers aren't finished by the end of 2027, if you know what we're referencing here, these are the 2 towers that have sparked hot debate in downtown West Palm Beach. There was a time where
I thought they were done. I mean, I just assumed they were done.
They look kind of done from the outside now, fortunately. There was a time where Jeff was like, I'll leave these things in the sky. There you go. Those are the but before, there was a time where he said, I'll leave these things in the sky as just skeletons and steel. He didn't have the glass in. At least the glass is in now, and so at least it looks better. But there was a moment where you're looking at this thing and you're like, if they keep fighting over this is like a terrible, right? And so there was a moment
holding it up.
Well, he wanted to convert the office buildings to residential, right? He wanted to go all apartments, and the city was like, no, that's not what we agreed to. So let's talk about it here. So a $7 billion developer, the tallest building in Palm Beach County, 7 years of construction. It's been forever. This started before the pandemic, and it's still not complete. This sounds like a Mandarin story. Now the city of West Palm Beach is done waiting. They're done with this. So one of West Palm, it's called The One or One West Palm, the twin 30-story tower complex at 550 Quadrille Boulevard is in downtown West Palm Beach, was supposed to open in 2021. It didn't because he was battling them. The $250 million plus project, which includes 328 luxury apartments now. He got that, right? Initially, this was, I think, mostly mostly office space, if I remember correctly. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong here. 200,000 square feet of Class A office space now. So 200,000 square feet of office space, 328 luxury apartments, and a 200-room all-suites hotel has been plagued by COVID shutdowns, design disputes with the city, as I mentioned, and a bitter legal fight between Greene and his former general contractor. Great. Now the city administration is asking commissioners to approve a proposed agreement that would require Greene to pay $5 million in liquidated damages if the project isn't completed by the end of 2027. Greene says the building will be finished within months. We'll see. It's looking pretty good. I drove by it the other day.
I was I was up there pretty recently. I honestly, the building on the left of the two of them, when we were looking at the picture, I was like, I honestly just assumed it was done.
Yeah, let's throw on the screen the location so everyone can see like where it is. We'll click the location on the map here, but yeah. So Greene says it's going to be done, but for a city in the middle of a historic development boom, a half-built skyline anchor has been the sore point for so many years, is what they're saying here. Right?
Yeah,
so
and Jeff's been involved with a couple of these ongoing disputes with the local city planners or whoever they may be, like, because that satellite campus, which is now going to be Vanderbilt's. Before that, it was supposed to be University of Florida satellite campus, which he was going to donate land for, and it all fell through. Depending on who you ask, why it fell through, it kind of there's some disputing there. But in any case, I'm like, man, I feel like this guy kind of just fights with everybody. Like he's just bored. Like, whatever. Might get done and doesn't. $5 million. Okay, slap on the wrist. Have a nice day.
Yeah, I'm curious. We don't obviously know Jeff Greene personally, and so we
go way back, way back.
I'm curious. What I did want to show on the screen was that on the location. If you could pull it back up, I can talk it through here. But if you see where that building is. If you zoom out just a little bit, you can kind of see its proximity. It's like right in downtown. I mean, this is downtown West Palm Beach, and it's on the northern end of downtown, if you will. It's right in that area where you have the Nora project, where Related's got a bunch of other stuff going on. And if you zoom back in, you can see you'll see open. Keep zooming. You see, there's just if you zoom a little bit more, you can see that there's open dirt to the left of it or just to the west, and then there's more open dirt, and then there's even a little south and a little west again. So there's a lot of projects that are in play that are getting worked on. And right there is Nora,
right,
really dead center right there along the train tracks, and that's a huge project that's going to transform the area. And not that we have to show, but if we went further north, you got Nomar project, which is the GL 100 single family home / townhome project.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that our team was at earlier this week, and we got to go pop up there again. So there's a lot going on there, and so the city's kind of fed up with this. It's like everybody else is executing. Why can't we get this thing done? And so,
do you think he's just kind of bullying to get what he actually wants?
No, I
turn
think,
it all residential because he's going to be like, well, what are you going to do? Just knock it down? He's like, I'll let it sit. You guys do what you want with it. I don't care.
I think he's beyond that right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's beyond that right now, and I think he's just now it's just time to get this done. And there's just been probably a bunch of craziness that has happened from the delay and from all the things that has happened here. So let's see what else here. It says, why is the city forcing this issue now all of a sudden 7 years later, right? So the city hasn't been collecting the property taxes, sales tax, or economic benefits of a 1.2 million square foot complex, which was supposed to generate, right? And that's a good point because in most cases, I don't know if it works the same way, but on single family residential spec custom homes that we spend a lot of time on, right? The developer sometimes holds back filing the final certificate of completion, right? In order to not pay taxes on the assessed property, right? Or the new property, or that because it's not done yet, and so same here. This is
now. I mean, if DeSantis's plans go through with the possibility of removing the property tax altogether, do you still owe them on the backside, or
that proposal
is that only for residential?
It's only for primary residents.
Oh, gotcha.
So if you are not a primary resident of Florida and you don't have your homestead in place, you probably don't get a tax tax deduction, property tax deduction. Probably. We'll see what happens there too, right? That's a whole nother topic that we've been questioned about so many times, right?
Which
right.
is always a fluid situation.
And so it says the project has been in construction since April of 2019, originally set to open in 2021. 2019, 2021, that's like 2 years. I think that was way too ambitious to begin with. But anyway, and then obviously the pandemic, et cetera. The twin 426-foot towers are the tallest structures in Palm Beach County, visible from I-95. Yes, we see them all the time, and most of downtown, but they remain unfinished. At least they look decent now. And then there was this messy legal battle between Greene and the former GC,
right.
Which is Cast Construction. And Cast is not a nobody construction company. This is a huge national, maybe international contractor, right?
I wonder what the dispute was.
And they're suing each other. Let's see. Greene fired Cast, accusing them of mismanagement and inflated billing. Cast says Greene micromanaged and caused the delays. Other subcontractors have also filed lawsuits claiming they weren't paid. So this is a complete mess. Let's see. There's more here. Greene replaced Cast with Blue Water Builders and says construction has picked up. He agreed to the $5 million penalty because he believes the project will be done within months, well before the end of 2027.
Again, doesn't it almost feel like he's like sabotaging his own project?
Maybe, who knows? Yeah, possibly. It's like usually when you get into lawsuits, it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like lawsuits aren't constructive in any way, shape, or form. It's usually ego on some level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows?
Okay, so condo associations, love them or hate them, they're still out there, and this South Florida Condo Association files for bankruptcy with over $40 million in debts. That's a lot. 55 and older community in Delray Beach just filed for bankruptcy with $43.7 million in debt. And the biggest creditor is none other than Lennar Homes, one of the largest home builders in the country. And at the center of it all is a legal fight over community amenities that has been building for years. Yeah, I'd imagine quite a few years if you've built up that big of a tab. Wow, $43 million in debt. Guys, what are we doing here?
Unreal. This is unreal. This is insane. So let's talk about it. So Palm Greens at Villas Delray, a 1,401 unit, 55 plus community. Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, carrying 43 million in debt. This is I don't even know how you end up with that much. So let's talk. Let's see what
For a 55 and up community.
What are we doing over there?
Yeah, so
balling out.
Yeah.
Check out the map. This is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's still like it's still not like you would expect for this kind of money that you would see a much bigger project.
Ben, zoom out. Where is that in respect to the rest of? Is that Central Delray? Yeah. Okay, so that's smack dab in the middle of Delray Beach.
So its two largest creditors are Lennar Homes at $25 million and the community's own number 2 condo association at $18.5 million. The filing lands in the middle of dueling lawsuits between the association and Lennar over community amenities and separate internal governance disputes that have been escalating since 2024. Let's talk about what led to it. The Recreation Association filed, not individual condo associations. Okay. So Palm Greens has 2 separate residential associations that shared a central recreation association.
So associations have associations?
Yeah, this is a thing. Believe me, this is a thing. It's a thing, which is insane. Which is which makes life even more miserable for everyone involved. Yeah, the entity which runs the clubhouse, pool, tennis courts, gym, and ballroom is the one carrying the $43.7 million in liabilities. Lennar Homes is the largest creditor at $25 million. Both sides sued each other in April 2025 over community amenities. The dispute traces back to former Villa Delray golf course, which closed in 2016, was acquired by 13th Floor Homes, approved for a 55-plus community called Delray Trails, and then sold to Lennar for $19.2 million in 2022. Lennar is now building the community right next door. So I've been through this community, and its associated associations, anyway, it's just I understand the structure here. It's these associations are all sharing this amenity, right? That's
I see. Okay.
On. Yeah. So there's also an internal fight. Number 2 condo association, the second largest creditor at $18.5 million, sued Recreation Association in March 2024 over governance disputes, challenging board actions as invalid. That case has gone to appeal. This is like the why everyone is like upset with associations, right? And why there's all these laws around this stuff, or there's proposed laws around this stuff. It's like these associations, it's just such a mess, man. It's such a mess. So $43.7 million in liabilities for condo associations is extraordinary, right? For comparison, the Mansion Grande Association in Miami Beach, one of the more notable association bankruptcies, filed for bankruptcy roughly with $1 million in debt. So this is just like completely out of control.
Yeah.
This is happening during a statewide condo crisis. Under Chapter 11, associations keep operating while it works out a court-approved repayment plan, but residents may still face assessments, and the filings raise questions. So let's talk about this for a second. So if you're, and I haven't done a transaction in here recently. It's been a little while. So pre this chaos, and so like if you have all this going on in this community, what do you think a prospective buyer wants to do?
Not live there?
Yeah.
And as their agent, would you discourage them from living there? You'd be like, yeah, I'd probably just stay away from that if I were you.
It might be the answer, right? Because it's like, well, who's paying $40 million? Well, the owners. If you have to pay.
It's just like the condo thing with the structural assessments and all that.
Somebody's paying for this.
Yeah.
Or somebody's losing their shirt. It might be one of these big companies. It might be Lennar. But like either way, somebody's flipping the bill for this. And so like it's like hot potato. Who's going to be stuck with it? And I'm sure there's some part of it. This is going to be court ordered, right? So some part of this is going to be the responsibility of homeowners and the association. So there's going to be some. And again, it's $43 million. This isn't like a $4 million debt. Like we've seen those and people freak out. We've seen $10 million. Okay, we had to borrow $10 million to do this deal, right? Or to do this concrete restoration or repair the seawall, do all the stuff that the SIRS study requires. And it's like we got to borrow $10 million and we're going to assess everybody and it's going to be a $50,000 thing. But that's $10 million, and that's an insane number.
Right.
Like that's insane. As we talked about, $1 million is kind of crazy, but we've seen frequently the $4 million loan for the association and things like that. But man, $43 million is
in a 55 and up community. Again, this isn't like young families moving in there. It's
1,400 units, so there's quite a few units there. But to your point, John, it's like these properties aren't selling for like millions of dollars. It's not like people are like, this isn't big money territory, right? This is like $300,000 units
living on a retirement budget.
100%. So if you're living in this community, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is going to be a black cloud, unfortunately.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? And you couldn't get out if you wanted to. Yeah. I mean, it just, geez.
Well, we're seeing this a lot, right? We're seeing this in a lot
of
the
condos.
With the condos, it's and there's other communities. Lennar is building bought another golf course surrounding, I think it's Boca Lago. Right, we've talked about this before, and Lennar's building around there, and I've talked to buyers, and they've called us and reached out because we've written so much on the topic and spoke about it that they've reached out to us to say, hey, what should we do here? And some have opted to buy in, thinking that they might get a deal, and others have opted no way. And so mind you, it's either I'm getting a deal from a buyer's perspective or I'm not doing it. There's not like the in-between where it's like I should pay fair market for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so again, and then we've sold in there and represented sellers and frankly, we've just seen sellers just have to take the L, right? It's just like you either really need to get out or you're holding for the long term in this situation, right? And if you're holding for the long term, it probably works out long term.
You think so? I mean, you still think?
I think it's probably going to be okay here. It's just a matter of like if you're trying to exit short term, you're probably going to have to deal with this. So, but spread out over a certain period of time, it's fine. So, but people freak out in these environments and they all want to get out. We've had it in here in a community called Wynwood. Boca, right? I mean, we've sold like 50 plus condos in there in the last like year and a half, and it's all because of association chaos assessments, et cetera, and everybody's just like exiting, running.
So they've been having to deal with a lot of that too? Okay.
100%. And so they're all running for the door. They're like $30,000 assessment, can't do this. And they want to sell. And they're like, I want to dodge this assessment. It's like, well, when you sell, you have to pay the assessment. So like, it's just not, you're not getting away from this stuff. So anyway, on that note.
You ready to wrap? Okay. On behalf of Larry Masterperry, broker, owner of the Masterperry Group, I'm John Laws of Discover South Florida. I'd like to thank you all once again for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your